So you and your workmates have come together to form an investment group called Bamosi Investments. It requires that each member should make monthly deposits into the pool account. You are planning to use these funds to create a portfolio in preparation for your retirement. To date, the balance of the pool account is at 1.5 million and you're about to make your first investment. However, there's a challenge due to different preferences of securities to invest in. Others prefer money market securities on the back of strong recent performance. Those preferring capital securities are citing the fact that there are strong long-term appropriate retirement planning. As a way towards consensus, a colleague proposes to consider a collective investment scheme available in the market. And he has heard that this is a better way of assessing diversification benefits to small investors. As an investment analyst in the group, you are approached by your colleagues to advise on the option to consider and how to set up investment guidelines for preparations of the group. So explain the relevance of having an investment policy, also highlighting its main constituent parts. And also explain diversification and how it can be achieved in this situation with reference to the Zambian situation. Okay. So firstly, you must understand what an investment policy is and its relevance in terms of the investment policy. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, your answer, sir. Just a question. This question is from which paper?
2024 May. So they just compiled in this pamphlet. just 2 years, so they are sorted. The pamphlet that I sent. So this is on page solution number 10. You have it in the group I sent. Okay. So number 10, explain the relevance of investment policy and also highlight the main constituent parts of an investment policy. Okay, so most of these questions are very bulky. So you do well to not only concentrate on calculations, but also understand these theoretical components. So what's an investment policy by definition? An investment policy can be defined as a formal document that outlines the rules and guidelines for managing a group's investment activities. So in this case, Pamo's investment, they have an investment policy, which is essential because it will provide them with a structure, the discipline, and the direction. So it is important when members have differing opinions to invest on. So an investment policy is there for relevance. Now here are some of the relevant aspects of an investment policy and the main parts that the investment policy must have. Okay. Number one, we have what's the relevance of the investment policy? Number one, it will provide with clear objectives. So an investment policy will outline its primary purpose. And also it will state that its primary purpose is mainly serving as retirement, also for funding future projects and generating income. So it will also align all the stakeholders involved here in terms of their shared financial goals. It will also help prevent confusion or conflict about the intended use of the funds. Secondly, an investment policy is there to provide discipline. So having predetermined the strategies and guidelines, this policy will help reduce the likelihood of emotionally driven decisions that will be based on the market volatility. So it will ensure that it will enforce a structured and consistent approach to investing. This policy is there to encourage long-term thinking rather than short-term speculation. Another relevance that this policy may have is that it will help in guiding what? the allocation of assets. So the policy will assist in determining how the investments should be spread across various assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, money market, and based on the group's financial goals, time horizon, and risk tolerance. So this will ensure that all there's a good balance. So it also will ensure that there's what manages risk. In terms of risk management, this document serves as an investment strategy to clearly um, articulate the policy outlines, the acceptable level of risk that the group may want to undertake, and also the mechanisms of diversification. So this policy is also important to improve transparency because the policy will serve as a reference document which will explain how the investment decisions are to be made and implemented. And it will also help in evaluation. So the policy will be set as a benchmark for performance standards and will help evaluate the investment goals. All right. Okay, so we've talked about the relevance of the investment policy. The second part of the question was asking us to also um, highlight the main parts of the investment policy. Who remembers the main parts of the investment policy that we have discussed? Main parts of the investment policy,
Maybe investment objectives.
objectives, huh?
Maybe asset allocation.
Asset allocation, uh-huh. Objectives, asset allocation, correct? Correct. So the 6 key parts that we talked about. So asset allocation, the objectives, the risk tolerance, the guidelines in terms of investment, monitoring and review process, and also the governance rules. So these are the main components of the investment policy. Now, what is involved in the main objectives? So here it will clearly mention the main goal. If it's building a retirement goal, it will stipulate. If it is the financial, attaining a certain specific financial target, it will elaborate. Yeah. In terms of risk tolerance, it will also to ensure to stipulate the level of risk that the group will be willing to undertake, low, moderate, or high. In asset allocation, the proportion of the funds that will be distributed to different asset classes. Okay, in money markets, the bonds. It also stipulate the guidelines for investment, the rules about security selection, liquidity, and diversification. Also, review how and when the performance will be reviewed and by whom, and also to stipulate what are the roles, governance roles, who makes the decisions and who funds. Right. Part B of the question is asking us to explain what? Okay. So have we gotten the parts that I explained, the key parts of the investment policy? Is it clear? The key parts?
So in summary, you said the asset allocation, the objectives, the rules. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Purpose, the risk tolerance, asset allocation, the investment guidelines, the monitoring and review process, the governance roles. So these are the main parts. Okay. And we lastly asked to explain diversification and how it could be achieved in a situation different to the financial markets. How can diversification be achieved? And why does it matter? Let's explain how it can be achieved, this diversification in the Zambian context. And does it matter at all? That's part B of the question. Okay, yes, it does matter. So diversification, basically, we're talking about how the spread of investment across the different asset classes and securities will be done to reduce the overall risk. So the principle here is having to mix the assets on average, getting to have a high yield whilst reducing the risk. So why is diversification important? So if one asset class performs poorly, maybe stocks, the other will perform better, maybe bonds. So to reduce the impact of volatility. Now, how do we achieve diversification? Be through the use of collective investment schemes like the unit trust, the mutual funds, to pull money from many investors to invest in a diversified portfolio. In Zambia, things like the African Life, Financial Services, Zanaco, Asset Management, and Stanbic are some of the examples that we and Video can. The other ways in having mixes of what asset classes, having a mix of asset classes, how you can have money markets, you can have capital markets, and maybe some real estate here or there. Okay. The other way would have geographic diversification if it's permitted, where we invest in regional, international mutual funds. This will include non-Zambian assets or Zambian assets, so that you can avoid the exchange rate risk, and also regular contributions and rebalancing. So this is one way that can be done. Is it clear?
Oh, yes, thank
Okay. Any other questions on that? Anyone behind? I will be able to remember. Okay. So let's look at mutual funds. Question number 8. Eight reads, what is a mutual fund or unit trust, and explain and discuss the business models of mutual funds and the role they play in the economy and the financial sector. A mutual fund of 5,000 million and 4.6 million liabilities outstanding of 150 million. Calculate the net asset value in the portfolio. Another mutual fund manages a portfolio of 120 million. The fund owes 4 million to advisors and another 1 million for running expenses and 5 million shares outstanding. Calculate the net asset value. So let's start with the first part. What is a mutual fund and a trust unit? Anyone? What is a mutual fund?
Yeah, boss, a mutual fund, is it not the collection of different securities?
Yes, it's a pool of securities, okay? It's also called a unit trust. So it's a collective investment scheme that pools money from investors to purchase diversified securities, stocks, bonds, and money market instruments and other assets. So it is mainly managed by a professional fund managers who invest in the pooled funds. So the business model of mutual funds is that of pooling funds or collecting funds money from investors, using managers to invest in a portfolio based on funds investment. So it is also based on issuing units or shares here, investors who buy units or shares of the fund representing a proportion of ownership. Income distribution to the profits from the dividends or interest or capital gains are reinvested or distributed amongst the investors. So basically, that is the definition. What role does it play in the financial sector and in the economy? So it plays significant roles. Number one, it helps in the mobilization of funds. It encourages people to save and invest money by providing easy access to capital markets. It also channels funds to productive sectors of the economy, infrastructure. It also offers small investors access to diversified portfolios that they might not afford as an individual. So liquidity units can also be redeemed quickly, offering liquidity to investors. Market stability, it helps to spread risk and investing in a wide range of assets. So that is the role they play in the financial sector. Okay, the second part of the question, we are told that we have a mutual fund assets of 5 million. Yes.
What's the difference between mutual funds and pension scheme? But when you look at the definition.
Okay, what's the difference between mutual funds and pension schemes? Anyone?
Okay, let me just say mutual funds, trust funds, and pension schemes. What is the difference?
Okay, before I come in, anyone to differentiate? Very good question. Okay, so the definition we gave of mutual funds said is a pool of what? Investment where individuals will put money to be managed by professionals. These professionals are trained. They will buy on behalf of the individuals a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and other ones. So the key features are that anyone can invest in here. It's managed by asset companies. Okay, the investors can buy the units of shares, and the main purpose for the mutual funds, as we've said, is what? Grow wealth. Trust funds, on the other side, we are looking at a legal arrangement where a trustee will manage assets like money, will manage assets like property on behalf of a beneficiary according to stipulated terms. So it is often used for mainly real estate planning and managing assets for minors or heirs after maybe somebody dies. So they'll hold cash and property or shares. So the person who's managing, so this trust fund has person who's called a grantor or creator. There's also a trustee who's a manager. There's a beneficiary who's a recipient. So mainly the purpose is to manage and protect the assets for somebody else for a long term. And when dealing with pension schemes, this one is just a retirement planning where employers will contribute money regularly, like NAPSA. Okay, the main purpose is to provide income security for individuals when they stop working. So the differences between these can be in those aspects, in terms of their goals, in terms of who can invest, in terms of their the legal structure. Okay, so and provided a tabulation of these ones. Okay, so the goal for mutual funds is mainly investment returns. Here, trust funds asset protection and transfer. Pension schemes, it's a retirement income. So who can invest here? The public. It's open. Here, specific individuals. Here, employees and employers. And withdrawal flexibility, here it's high. You can redeem anytime. Here it's controlled by the terms that are there. Here until you retire. In terms of the legal structure, the funds are pooled. Here, there's the legal trust. Here, it's retirement regulated. And in terms of management, who management is, it's a professional fund manager. He is a trustee. He is a board. That is NAPSA, for instance, in our case. And what kinds of assets are here? It can be bonds, stocks, here it's property, cash, and here it's collective long-term investments. So I hope this answers your question.
Thank you very much. It does.
Now we go to our net asset value calculation. So we have mutual funds of 5 million and liabilities outstanding of 4, and outstanding shares are 150 million. So we're being asked to calculate what is called the net asset value. The net asset value. So when we're calculating the net asset value, the NAV, we have a formula to use. Okay, so the formula is given by the total assets that we have. We remove the liabilities, then you divide by the outstanding shares. Okay. So what does this net asset value seek to calculate? What is it all about? So the net asset value of a portfolio is actually the value of the portfolio minus its liability. It's expressed as the share. It is a standard way that is used to determine how much a single share of an investment in a mutual fund or in a pension fund, in the unit fund is worth at a given point. So it's given by the formula total assets minus total liabilities over the outstanding number of shares. So in this case, what is our total number of assets? We go to our question. What was the total number of assets that we have? So here the
5 million.
5 million. Then the liability was what? 4.6. Then divided by
4.6.
is. So we're told that it's expressed as what? It's expressed in terms of the share. So once we calculate that, it's an issue of just getting the value there. Right? So that is how we calculate it. So we're going to get our value. Check the pamphlet. Question number 8. Okay. So it's total assets minus liabilities, so outstanding. So this minus that over 150, we're going to get 3.77 per share. That's how we calculate that. Okay. So,
Collins, please bear with me. May I ask questions as we go? When we say outstanding shares, what exactly does that imply? Outstanding, as in, are we talking about the ones that are being traded, the ones that have not been traded?
No, what is remaining?
But are available.
It's a good question. It's an accounting question, okay? When we're talking about outstanding shares, we're talking about the number of shares a company currently has for the shareholders. So it includes the individual, the institution. In short, these are shares that a company currently has. Okay, the shares that exclude shares that a company has bought back in the treasury. So the outstanding shares refer to the total number of shares that the company currently held, is currently held by all the shareholders, be it individuals, etc., etc. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so 5 marks for that calculation. It's just your understanding. So this minus that over that, 5 marks. Okay. Then another mutual fund manages a portfolio of securities, 120, and the fund owes 4 million. So looking at this part here. Okay. So another 1 million expected to calculate the net asset value. Okay, what did you say? How do we calculate the net asset value? Total assets minus liabilities of outstanding shares. What are our total assets in that case? So another mutual fund portfolio has 120 securities. The fund owes 4 million to advisors and a further 1 million running expenses and has 5 million shares. So this one was a little bit tricky but interesting. So we want to calculate the NAV. So what is our total assets?
5 million.
The total assets before we get the liabilities.
Okay, assets 120.
Okay.
The total liabilities.
That will be 4 million plus 1 million.
1 million.
Is 5 million. Then the outstanding shares.
It's 5 million.
5 million.
Yes. So now that's where you get to calculate it now. And calculating the NAV. The NAV now. The key thing was in identifying total number of what? Liabilities. So our liabilities would be the 4 plus the additional what? Calculating the 4 plus the additional what? Additional 1 million. Also, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it is the 120 million plus the 5 million, not 4. We add this divided by 5 million shares. So we're going to get a NAV as 23 quarter per share. So this is how we calculate our answer here. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
Is it very clear?
Yes, it's always clear when you're explaining until it's time to write the exam.
All right. So thank you so much for the time.